Imagine a toy company that began in a small carpenter workshop in Denmark, that later became one of the largest toy brands in the world. Well, that would be Lego. Lego's history shows how creativity and innovation can turn a simple idea into a worldwide success. I have always been interested in Lego because of its creativity and because I always liked building the sets as a kid. I researched information from the official Lego website and from other credible sources in order to fully understand the history of the company. Now, in order to fully understand the history of the company, we must look at its origin, we must look at the early models of the Lego brick, and we must look at how other collaborations with other companies expanded its customer base. Now, moving to the first point about the origin of the company. The origin of Lego is very important because it shows the very beginning of the start of a huge company. In the official Lego website, master joiner and carpenter Ole Kirk Christensen began making toy models, wooden toy models, which shows the beginning of the Lego company that has started with these wooden toy models, which shows how the company came from an ordinary carpenter worker. The word Lego came from two Danish words, leg and got, which put together meant play well, which later became the official Lego company name. Now, unaware of this, the word Lego had a hidden Latin meaning that was I put together, which Ole Kirk never fully was aware of. The Lego name became official as of January of 1936. Later on, Ole Kirk saw the potential in the Lego brick toys. He tried to convince his sons by saying, "Have you no faith? Can't you see that if we do this, we can sell these bricks all over the world?" Which is how the iconic Lego brick came to be, and they later on tested early models of the Lego brick. Now, moving on to the early models of the Lego brick toy. Some of the early models of the Lego consist trying to make different builds with the Lego bricks. One of the first released builds that was part of Lego was the Toy House model, which debuted in 1949, which marked the beginning of the rise of the Lego company, where they would keep releasing different and unique sets along the way. According to CBR, the Lego bricks weren't meant to be sold with specific builds in mind, but they were with specific builds in mind. But the catalogs offer some of the things that could be built with these Lego bricks. The early set did have the amount of pieces needed to construct the build, however, lacked the steps that later sets introduced. As Lego kept going, they kept on releasing different sets, either having unique designs and models, or they would resemble a real life building, such as the gas station Lego set released in 1956. Since the buildings were just ideas of what can be built with the Lego bricks, the main idea for Lego was to allow kids to create what they want, whatever they came to their mind with these Lego bricks. Other companies saw the creativity of the Lego bricks and wanted to join along and help the company expand its customer base. Lego had many different collaborations with different companies throughout its lifespan. One of the first Lego companies was the Volkswagen collaboration that debuted in 1950. However, one of the first big collaborations Lego had was with Star Wars, where it featured a land speeder Lego set that released in a toy fair in February of 1999. After the success of the Star Wars collaboration, another huge company wanted to join along in the success of Lego, which was Harry Potter in 2001. The Harry Potter Lego set brought many of the Harry Potter fans into the Lego franchise. Now, Lego had a slow start when it comes to the IP partnerships. But because they because they did not have enough funds in order to fund the product, they did not want to partner with any of these other companies, which is why the Star Wars brought so many opportunities for the Lego companies and brought in other major companies such as Minecraft, Pokemon, Harry Potter, and more. Now that we have went over all 3 points of my speech, we can review and talk about everything that has been said so far. We have went over the origins of the Lego brick and how Ole Kirk Christensen thought of everything and started off with the Lego brick. We have reviewed toy models, early toy models, and how the Lego brick was meant to be used for creativity, and the builds given were just ideas of what can be built with the Lego bricks. We have also went over how these collaborations expanded the Lego company's customer base and brought millions of new people into the franchise. Now, from a carpenter workshop to one of the largest toy brands in the world, beloved by millions of people, Lego shows how creativity can be built and extraordinary. Thank you.